The Conservative Party faces yet more chaos this morning after Theresa May suspended an MP for using racist language.
The MP is Anne-Marie Morris, and she's now under growing pressure to resign after using the N-word during a debate on Brexit. Let's have a listen to what she said.
And then we get to the real woodpile, which is, in 2 years, what happened? There is no deal.
Joining us now, Kevin Maguire from the Daily Mirror, alongside him political strategist George Pascoe-Watson, formerly of the Sun newspaper, and joining us this morning, journalist and broadcaster Edward Adoo. Now, Edward, you want the word that Miss Morris used to be banned.
Yes.
Well, that's not going to come as a surprise, I can imagine, to lots of people, because, you know, most people won't use it. But banned for everybody?
Yeah, because it's used on the radio, it's used as a form of endearment when you speak to people who, hip-hop rappers and people who kind of reclaim or part of street culture. They say, oh, well, look, it's not a derogatory term to use. And it's not the kind of term that I'd like to use in front of my mum or my relatives. So it shouldn't be used at all. Okay. And that's the issue here.
Well, I wrote a column about this, actually, because the Washington Post did a survey, and they revealed that 500,000 times every day in America alone, the N-word is used on social media, predominantly by young, black, African-American males. And it was done because of this culture of hip-hop and everything else. And I just couldn't understand how continuing to use that word so often in just mainstream life would do anything but elongate its life.
Because it's been accepted, and I must stress that not every form of hip-hop. There is an element of hip-hop that there's conscious lyrics, and there are artists out there who promote the positive side of life. But there are artists like Jay-Z's latest album, and I heard a snippet of one of his tracks, and there must have been about 20 or 30 references to the N-word. Now, to a lot of people, they think, oh, that's acceptable.
No, I agree. I agree.
And the problem is...
Also, I think also that it plays into the sort of white racist game, because they say, well, if the black community is using it, then we're going to use it, you know. And I think that is dangerous.
Except I don't think that Anne-Marie Morris has at any stage claimed that she's trying to reclaim the N-word, George. I think the trouble is this is a very old-fashioned racist term, which in some circles seems to still be common parlance.
That's the shocking thing, isn't it? The shocking thing is you still have Conservative members of Parliament who use this as just their usual words. I mean, she did not know that she was being recorded, so she clearly felt comfortable in saying it. And this is the whole thing that David Cameron started 10, 12 years ago, trying to modernise the Conservative Party and having candidates who, frankly, are much more, you know, relevant to today's world. And it is quite worrying that she's been an MP for 7 years, and this is the way that she normally talks.
Well, Kevin, I mean, look, it's an incredibly offensive thing to say. The moment you, as an MP, find yourself using the N-word in any way or for any reason, surely alarm bells ring. And if they don't, you're not fit to be an MP. She's been suspended, but she hasn't been sacked because Theresa May is so vulnerable right now.
They don't want a by-election.
With her dwindling majority, that she can't afford a by-election. I mean, this is a ridiculous situation.
Oh, absolutely, and it's very difficult to see how she could survive. And if Theresa May allows her back into the Conservative Party, I think it'll be a very bad day for the Conservative Party and Theresa May, because she's suspended her because she's worried about her vote in the House of Commons. It is as cynical as that. She's lost the Tory whip, but they will still hope she will vote for them. And they will be holding out the prospect of her being readmitted at some point so she can stand as a Conservative again at the next general election, whenever that comes. I think that's just totally wrong. It's almost impossible to see how there can be a way back for somebody who used that. And you listen to the tape, it's the casual use of it. And I'm also actually shocked at the lack of protests in the room.
Yeah.
The other people on the panel.
I think what is rightly so, is the casual use. If she was not caught, who else is saying this? And is this said behind closed doors? And who is saying it?
The audience were accepting it by not saying anything. I mean, the audience just accepts it.
You want the word banned. Do you think she should resign?
It's not for me to decide, or I think it's about common sense. I think she should make that decision herself, whether to go. But I think there needs to be an alliance, and I think record companies, broadcasters, everyone should get together, and I think there should be not an amnesty, but to say, well, listen, the word should not be used, because behind closed doors, It's obviously being used, and obviously
Well, I think we can assume it's
she said
certainly used behind her closed doors, because Mrs. Boris's electoral agent is her partner, Roger Kendrick, who recently claimed that Britain's education crisis was, quote, due entirely to non-British born immigrants and their high birth rates. She distanced herself from her partner's remarks.
Well, it's a mindset thing, isn't it?
Well, clearly, that family, I'm afraid...
Well, it's exactly what I say. It's the problem that Cameron tried to, and is trying, and the Conservatives, modern Conservatives, are trying to get rid of that problem, and it's not before time. And if that sort of thing continues, then the Conservative Party will rightly struggle to stay in office. What I do think, though, is the Prime Minister moved very, very quickly to suspend her from the whip, which is the right thing to do. And, of course, we will see where that goes. My personal views, I think that it's down to the electorate. If they make it clear that they no longer want her to serve as their MP, they should make that clear.
Because if you're suspended, you can still be an independent, right?
Of course you can. Yeah.
So she's not gone as an MP.
No, but it's down to her constituents in Newton Abbot. I think Kevin's wrong. It's a very strong Conservative seat, and they will always hold that.
And Kevin, here's the thing. People might, I think some older viewers might listen to this debate and go, well, I remember that phrase.
Yeah.
You know, it's a generational
Agatha
thing.
Christie used that phrase. It's that sort of defence, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Anne-Marie Morris is 60. She's only a few years older than me.
Right.
She's not in that category. And actually, people sometimes use phrases which you wouldn't use now because they didn't realise how offensive they were. I think once you have the N-word in that phrase, the bell is ringing. This is
There are
offensive.
two words I think that all MPs should train themselves to never utter.
Can we not answer them on the programme then?
Yeah, I'm not going to utter them. One is the N-word, the other one's Hitler. Right? There's never a good sentence that involves the name Hitler, is there? You know, Ken Livingstone and all these guys constantly getting into huge Hitler rows. It's like, just stop saying Hitler and stop saying the N-word. It's not difficult.
And you're not going to draw anyone into a discussion about Hitler right now.
Unless you're condemning Hitler absolutely outright.
Right.
Yes.
I think, as I said, it needs to be banned. Everyone needs to come together. And I mean, you mentioned Agatha Christie. I think there was the Elvis Costello track in the late 70s where there was the reference as well. Also, Yoko Ono and John Lennon.
Yeah.
I mean, over the years, I think it's a generation thing as well, where we need to actually tell the next generation coming through that it's unacceptable. We know it shouldn't be used.
Yeah.
But in South Africa, they had a similar thing with the K word. I'm not going to repeat that either, but it was their version of the N word, and they actually made it illegal. And I think you go to jail if you're heard saying it in public places, right? And actually, what it's done is it's virtually expunged the use of the K word in South African society. It works. And some words are just so offensive that we should take a draconian view, I think. And having it used by the very people that it was used to insult all the time doesn't help get rid of it.
But is it time for government to get involved and say, well, look, we need to legislation needs to be put in place for the word not to be used? I mean, do we have to go to those lengths in order to get...
We're a civilised society. The rule of law is much more, important to focus on the things, the crimes that matter. I'm not saying this doesn't matter, but we have got overstretched police force and all that kind of stuff. I think programmes like this, the media leading the way, is a great demonstration of the power of the media to talk about this so that we re-educate
but we're talking about it,
an entire generation.
It's about enforcing and telling people that shouldn't be done. It's not so much about whether there is...
This programme is making it abundantly clear that this is a language which cannot be accepted now. And this will go much farther than creating a law to try and root it out.
I think if you banned it and you started locking up black young men or women for using it, that would be a ridiculous
Well, you can't
position.
do that, and that's going to be the problem with locking up white racists who use it, because they'll say, well, hang on, why are young black men allowed to use it and I'm not? That's where that argument, I think, is
the form
really
of endearment when you're walking
one.
down Oxford Street and you hear people say it and they're shaking each other's hands or they're spudding, and that you hear that all the time, and I can't stop people from doing that.
For friend.
Well, let's hear
what would you do about it in schools?
Let's hear from young black viewers, right? What do you think? Do you think the word should be just expunged? Should everybody stop using that word? Is it now just so offensive we just say that's it? We should not allow it in records, not allow it in films. Just get rid of it. I agree with you. I'm with you on this. But when I wrote that column, all hell broke loose. I had everyone from John Legend, everybody else piling into me saying, stay in your lane. It's not your business.
Wow.
We're reclaiming that word. It's our word now. And I understand that argument too. I do understand
But how can you reclaim something which is wrong? You know, that's the issue here, and that's the argument that I have with people. That
Yeah.
you know, Ed, you're old-fashioned.
Well,
you can't say that.
but also,
let people do what they want to do, and it's like, no, that it's offensive. You
young
can't.
black men often don't want to be lectured by middle-aged white people as well
But I had
about
a
their
debate-
use of language, which is utterly fair enough.
Show racism the red card, football-based. I heard two black footballers debating this. One said he didn't mind using the word, but the other said, don't call yourself something you don't want other people to call you.
That's
and
what
I think,
think.
and I think this
Right.
this
And I think
term
this just applied, by the way.
straight into that
and there are other
category.
words, actually, aren't there? There are words used against gay people, for example, which the gay community now use themselves in a kind of ironic, we've got that word back. I don't think that works either. I just think if these words are offensive, get rid of them.
Yeah, we can't go around policing all language, though. Let's be very clear. You know, we are in the media. We spend our entire lives celebrating people's use of language. I'm not defending this. What I'm saying is we have to be sensible and realistic about it. Moods change in society. Piers, when you and I were on The Sun sort of 30 years ago, the paper's attitude to things was very, very different than it is now.
To homosexuality.
Precisely what I'm thinking about.
The papers were, looking back, incredibly offensive in their use of language, and that completely changed.
Yeah.
So, but you see, it changed because certain words became completely unusable.
Absolutely, we moved
Quite
forward.
rightly. And I just think that you can move from unusable to, in some cases, as they did in South Africa, say, actually, you know what, we're going to make this illegal. If you're going to keep using it, we're going to make it illegal.
I mean, I'll give you a quick example. When I was DJing at a bar in Soho, and someone asked for the Kanye West and Jay-Z track in Paris, and they actually used the full term. And I had about 2 minutes left on the record, and I pulled them aside and I schooled them, and I said, listen, that is a racist term. And they were like...
But it's the name of a record.
Exactly. They were like, mate, it's not a racist term, it's the track title. And that's the problem. It's a fighting battle.
Well, it's a good debate. Let's hear what you want to tell us about this debate. I mean, a lot of strong views. I know, because like when I wrote that column, all hell broke loose. Let's hear the views, and we'll debate this as the show goes on. It would be remiss of me, Edward, not to mention your shirt.
I knew you were going to say something. I thought, wow, you haven't mentioned it.
It's probably the finest shirt we've had at the desk, I would say, this year.
Wow.
Susanna?
It's a very smart shirt.
Thank you.
Is it your own? Did you create this?
No, I bought it from a certain high street retailer, and they've got other good shirts as well. So
I'm looking at the three of you. I'm seeing two guys slightly stuck in the old suit and shirt brigade.
I don't want to get lynched by you guys in a minute and say, listen, why didn't you give us a shirt?
You could do them at Marks and Spencer's.
Kevin has abandoned his tie.
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
someone said, Kevin's abandoned his tie. A little slovenly, I think, given the immaculate way that George has turned
I'll
out.
tell you what, for Christmas, I'll get all of you a shirt.
Thanks all very much. 6:32. Laura is in Wimbledon with the weather.